be the case, but I ain't beat that case. I did the race, cracking foes like a vase.
You know, what was the upbringing like, you know, in your home with TAY growing up?
I mean, basically, we have been in foster care since we were like really young, like damn near all our life. You feel me? Like, so we never stayed with our parents. We kind of stayed in different foster homes, you know, bouncing around. We stayed in Las Vegas. That's where we were in foster care at. But you know, like that was basically like life for us. You know, like we our dad was incarcerated. You know, and our mom is the one who lost custody of us. So like, whenever our dad got released, we were like, I don't know, maybe like 12, 13, you know. So then we moved to Texas with him, you know, like we moved to Texas with him, and we just been out here ever since, you know, like basically, yeah. Like,
right. You start off in Long Beach, and then the adopted family takes custody of y'all in Las Vegas?
Well, okay, no, like, so we were in Las Vegas when our mom lost custody of us. Our dad was incarcerated, right? So like, foster care is basically like the state has custody of you, you know? So in the state of Las Vegas, we were, you know, in foster care. Like, we never got adopted. It's like it's a process, you know? Like, it doesn't just work like that. You don't just get adopted, you know? Like, so like, we just stayed with different families that kept us until either our mom got custody of us, or like, eventually, if we were there long enough, we would get adopted.
I'm Jolena. I'm TAY's mom. It's real special K mom, and Cameron's mom.
We're in foster care. Our dad gets out of jail. He been in jail for like since we were young as fuck. Like, you know, like, and he got custody of us, and that's when we moved to Texas. You know, so we were like 13. You know, 13. Tamar is like 2 years younger than me. You know, so yeah, basically. So. And
it's just y'all two.
It's always just been us. Like, we had family and stuff, but like we moved around a lot. So, and we were like not with them. We were taken away. So it's kind of like we didn't get to have that. You know, you get what I'm saying? Like, we didn't have that at all. It was just me and Tamar.
TAY, he actually, like, he still is a millionaire, but yeah, he made himself a millionaire at 15,
right?
Rapping, or whatever, but he got caught up with the wrong crowd. So he's fighting 2 capital murder cases. One of them they've already sentenced him, the one in Fort Worth, Texas, but we're appealing that. And the other one is in San Antonio.
But I was there, you feel me? Like, we went through everything together, you know? And it's just fucked up to see how it went with him.
Yeah, I've been beating myself up. I'm just now getting it back together. I had to come to my brother. My brother had to love me till I learned how to love myself again. So now I am participating in life again.
So on holidays like Christmas, Thanksgiving, none of that? Y'all never really got like to experience that like a regular family?
Man, nah, real talk. Not till we were like 12 or 13, you know? And then it was fucked up then, like, you know, like, not even like that, but that's why, like, it's a lot that people don't know, because we ran away. We had to run away. That's why all this shit happened, because it was not even good when we came to our dads, you feel me? Like, not even like that. Like, a lot of dudes don't try with their kids and shit. Like, so I give my dad that. I'm not saying he's a terrible dad, but hey, bro, like, life was messed up. Like, we kind of like, it was abuse going on in our home. We had to leave.
I'm not running from my reality anymore. I'm facing it, right. You know, so, you know, that's better. I'm not by myself, even though, like, you know, for a long time I told myself I was by myself.
Right. He chose something that he was affiliated with and followed the wrong crowd, right. And now he's stuck to a place to where he has to be a thinker to get his situation fixed, you know. And I want to tell the kids out there, you know, we was raised really bad, you know.
I was still an adolescent, right. Adolescent having children, so I would grow up, right. You know, and still have still want Kayla, still want Tamar, still want Cameron. You know, if I grow up, would have allowed myself to grow up,
right.
And I was still angry because mommy died, you know, and I was mad at the world. So I didn't make a lot of wise decisions then. As I'm saying, as a mother,
right.
I didn't know how to be a mother,
right.
You know, because that's something that I didn't get. Like, I
Right.
fell short of that.
Right.
Not making up excuses or whatever. That's why I know that, like, I'm a good grandmother, because I know how to be a grandmother.
My mother passed away of AIDS in 93, 94. My sister was a female, so my mother wasn't here to teach her how to be or
Right.
become a woman. So she selected
Right, who I would take in for. I would,
and pieces,
I
right,
was mad at
right,
all women
right.
because
Right.
I didn't have. So I
Right.
took information from who I wanted to take it to,
Yeah.
but could nobody tell me what to do.
Exactly.
My daddy couldn't even get a girlfriend, couldn't get married again because I ran him off.
Yo, what's up, people? We is back. Another day on Keep It G News. And they always talking about TAY. Now, TAY's story was a story that broke the internet maybe 4, 5, maybe 6 years ago. It's been a while ago. But during this time, y'all, I really wasn't on the internet. Like, I knew a little bit about TAY's story, but not as much as I know now. And I want to know how many people is the same way. Like, I wasn't really an internet person, so I was never really fully invested in the internet, especially during TAY's situation. But I remember the race. I remember the race. I remember people rapping the race. I remember people was talking about how bold he was to put out a song like the race while he was currently on a run from law enforcement for a murder that he supposedly committed. And I think, was it Texas or San Antonio? It was San Antonio, somewhere in Texas. But I didn't have all the details. And in this video, we're going to go through all the details because I think it's important to establish where we was back then so we can move into where we is now. Because where we is now is TAY, which we always knew back then he had another murder charge, but now court date is coming up. His court time is coming up. And the reason I showed y'all those clips in the beginning is because I don't know how many people was aware of TAY upbringing. When you talk about a 15, 16, or 17-year-old teenager that's alleged to have been involved in 2 murders, you would think that it gotta have been some issues during his home life. And that's why it was important that I showed y'all his sister speaking and showed y'all his mother and his uncle speaking so you can get a better understanding if you didn't know who TAY was and what he went through. And what he went through was a rough childhood. Foster care, living at home to home, stayed with his father. You listen to his mother. His mother told you she didn't know how to be a mother because her mother was in the street. So that's the only way she knew how to raise kids or not raise kids. You understand what I'm saying? Because at that time in her life, even though she was producing babies, she was still fully involved in the streets. And during her time in the streets, she actually lost her children. And she had 3 children, and one of them children was TAY. Now, in these situations, everybody, when you got children that come up in foster care, for the most part, they don't even stay together. But if they do manage to stay together, that experience, that traumatic experience still affects each child differently. So you seen his sister, and you heard her talk. I think his brother, his little brother is currently a rapper, but TAY went the wrong way. And he went the wrong way fast, yo. And y'all know on this channel for the longest time, I've been advocating for these young kids because I don't believe in taking their life over decisions made as a juvenile, Now, some people might disagree with that, but this is coming from somebody that made mistakes early in life, and I could have been a TAY. Maybe not at 15 or 16, but at 19. And I just look back to where I was then mentally versus where I am now and some of the decisions that I made then that I would never make now. And I think, you should at least award people that opportunity. But I fully understand this is America. This is the justice system. Everybody don't get that opportunity. But before I get too far deep in this TAY story, I got to first tell y'all the story and show y'all what happened in the past that's going to actually lead to where we at
Searching
now.
for a 17-year-old murder suspect described as a violent fugitive. Law enforcement sources confirm that Tamor Trevon McIntyre is a suspect in a murder case in Mansfield and in a robbery in Arlington. And tonight, his victims are speaking out. NBC5's Scott Gordon is in the newsroom with more.
Well, Christy, he's just 17, but police say he's armed, dangerous, and on the run. And tonight, his victims tell us they hope he's found soon before anyone else is hurt. Oh, I'll never forget it. Forget his face. 65-year-old Skip Pepe of Arlington says he'll never forget.
This video from almost 3 years ago shows a 16-year-old Tamor McIntyre in a small room with police, uncomfortable, wiping his eyes at times, and finally admitting to investigators he played a role in a home invasion and murder in Mansfield.
Today is the plea deadline date. So is the plea being accepted?
Rejected, Your Honor.
All right, so we'll need a jury trial date. I'm going to recall this. We're going to recall this for March 11th, and at that time you will be given your jury trial date.
Okay. That'll work, Your Honor.
All right, so if you all can make sure you confer off docket to see what's a good date that works for everybody's schedule. I don't do special settings in this court, but I will take in consideration the fact that it's a date that you all have decided on.
That'd be great. We will confirm.
All right.
I flashed before my eyes and I didn't know what to do, really.
Alyssa Rowell is the girlfriend of the man killed, 21-year-old Ethan Walker.
I was in shock, then I was confused.
When they were at Walker's house playing a video game, and a masked gunman burst in, demanding money and drugs.
He waved it around and he told us to get on the ground.
Walker was shot and killed. Defense attorneys say McIntyre had no idea anyone would be killed and only thought he was part of a robbery planned by the girlfriend of the victim's roommate.
I seen 4 people come in with guns and masks and hoodies, and then they came straight into my room.
Survivor of the shooting, Zach Belote, testified today he realized he'd been set up for the crime by a girl he thought he was dating. That's a point McIntyre's defense team has been keen on, that 5 other individuals, along with a juvenile, were actually responsible for planning the robbery and shooting the 2 victims. One of the girls has testified she brought in McIntyre to recruit the gunman.
Well, everybody left the room, and the one guy was at the front of my room in the doorway, and I was right in front of the bed, like pretty much point blank range. And he sat there and hesitated for about 2 minutes with one hand, and when he grabbed it with 2 hands, that's when I knew he was going to pull the trigger.
The jury deliberated for a little longer than 3 hours today here before deciding on that 55-year sentence. That song that raised the profile of Tamor "TAY" McIntyre in the end also likely played a role in that prison sentence.
I think it was part of a career move that went wrong.
Walker's parents said every lyric had their son's blood on it.
Every time we look up, it seems like we're seeing news about the song, seeing praise about the song, and seeing you literally dancing on Ethan's grave.
My son's gone. He's a box of ashes sitting in my living room.
The girls planned this. They set it up, and the boys were supposed to come in and hold everybody off.
Even though McIntyre was not the gunman, prosecutors say he's guilty of capital murder because he was part of the robbery and should have reasonably anticipated the murder.
At this time, y'all, the news played TAY as, public enemy #1, a menace to society, But when you listen to how he was brought up and his upbringing, it tells you a very different story. This wasn't no menace to society. This was a kid that was hurt. This was a kid that been through a lot. This was a kid that was misguided. And a lot of times, this misguidance can lead you into criminality at a very early age. But that don't mean that's how you always going to be. But what happens is, we get put in these situations and we make such bad decision making early on that it kind of keeps us from progressing. And sometimes it might keep you in prison for the rest of your life because you'd have made the decision in the past that the state or the country will never let you live down. And that's what we got dealing with TAY in this whole situation. And we is talking about a robbery gone bad. Talking about a robbery gone bad, y'all. And the judge said to TAY during his sentencing that he should have known that this could have turned into a shooting. Now, I don't think most people, especially people at that age, even think that a robbery is going to turn into a shooting because a lot of people get robbed and a lot of them don't turn into shootings. But I've been on record and I've said this on numerous occasions that 187s or 211s can turn into 187s real fast. A robbery in progress can turn into a murder. But when you talking about a 15-year-old, especially a 15-year-old that endured trauma early on, a 15-year-old that may have been forgotten about, can you really put that much on him? Like, honestly, some people might say, yeah, I disagree. Because all he knows is what he was taught. And if you listen to his early upbringing and his childhood, what was he taught? Was this a kid that was actually taught right from wrong? Or was this a kid that fell victim by hanging around certain people and he just was being influenced by the guys that he was around, the kids that he was around? Was this another situation where it was kids raising kids? I told y'all that is a recipe for disaster. Whenever you got younger kids hanging around older kids and there's no fathers around, there's no parental guidance, they're just learning from each other, that is a recipe for disaster. And what happened with TK was a disaster because it was supposed to be a robbery. And there was, 6 of them involved. And throughout this robbery, one of the guys that was in the house, girlfriend, set it up. Or at least somebody he thought was his girlfriend. That was the kid that you seen talking on the stand. She set it up, but what you're going to find out is, if you didn't already know, is she caught less time than anybody because she was a juvenile. She actually copped out to 10 years probation. And this robbery took a long time. It took so long that more than likely TK and the guys that was involved was getting tired. They was getting anxious. And they went into the house and things went totally left. I don't think nobody wanted it to go this way. You know, you dealing with kids, they probably was just as scared as the people they was robbing. I'm not making an excuse for them. I'm just telling y'all this is how it goes. This is how it goes. Everybody probably was scared and they made decisions that if you was to talk to them right now, today, at whatever age they is, they would never make it again. Or at least that's what they would tell you. You know, at least now they're fully aware of their decision making and what they did to put them in the environment that they're in now, which is prison. And all of these kids got hefty prison sentences. TK got 50 years, but TK wasn't the shooter. The shooter caught life in prison. A lot of these kids blew trial. But for TK to get 50 years for a crime where he was just a participant, I think that's a little strange. I think that's a little odd. I don't really think that's right, considering that some of these people that were just as involved as TK caught 30 years. But what ultimately hurt TK was that video. The race. The race raced TK right into the prison system for 50 years. But what do you expect? And TK was early on. But if you notice, what we're saying now is a whole bunch of TKs running around. You know, you see a lot of kids in this drill movement, in this drill era, bragging about crimes. And some of them is even older than TK. But I always explain to y'all in these situations that we are dealing with ignorance. And what can you expect from ignorance but ignorance? So how can the judge then in turn, after evaluating TK and looking at the age that he was when he did these crimes, where they said he did these crimes, how can you expect him to do anything else but be ignorant and go on a run, decide that I'm going to cut my box off? Because when he first got arrested for this murder in Arlington or Fort Worth, Texas, the judge gave him a bond and put him on home monitor. Now, you got a 15-year-old or 16-year-old at the time whose life, to this point, is all in disarray. He never had any guidance. Never had any guidance. He never had a person telling him right from wrong. And if he did, I don't think he listened. Well, it's obviously didn't listen. This is a kid that was moving on his own. So when you put him on the box, what do you expect him to do? Cut it off, go on a run. And he didn't just go on a run. He put a music video out. But the judge is saying that he should have known better. The judge is holding a 16-year-old to standards that some adults in today's society even fail at. You know, they can't even stand up to these standards. Look at the drill movement. Some of these drill rappers is in their 30s. Some of these drill rappers in their mid-20s. And they still rapping about crimes in their songs. So how can we then say this 15 to 16-year-old at the time should have known better? I don't think that's right. I think it's wrong. Some people might disagree. But this is not the only crime they allege TK did. Because you heard in them clips too. And you heard his mother say it's another murder. So while TK was on a run for this murder in Fort Worth area, he went to San Antonio. And in this situation. They saying TK is the shooter now. And this crime happened years ago. Like I said, around the same time. I don't know what took him so long to get him in the court, but it took a very long time to get him in the court. But court dates is coming up real soon. But before I get to the court date, I want to show y'all what else happened with TK, because TK haven't been a model citizen in prison, and you know it's gonna take some adjusting to. I wouldn't be surprised, but I didn't even know that Adam 22 had an interview with TK, and this interview that Adam 22 had with TK actually got TK in even more trouble.
I got a tablet, like an iPad. I be listening to music in this house.
That's crazy to think about. That you probably would have already seen the world right now if you weren't locked up. Like there's crazy amount of opportunities that be available to you right now.
Yeah. I mean, they still gonna be there. I'm gonna be out soon, bro.
Management did not ask me to remove the part where he talked about having an iPad, and so then he gets in solitary, all kinds of whatever additional charges because he had an iPad, and he's just in jail using the
That
iPad.
video didn't have any real relevance other than the fact that I wanted to show y'all Adam always finds his way in somebody's criminal case. You know, because you can't really blame him, because TK still probably shouldn't have known better, but whoever was around TK, whoever was in charge, his management should have known that. Take that out the interview, Adam. He ain't supposed to have no tablet, Adam. But just goes into the mind frame of a TK. You know, this is a kid that never had guidance. You know, he's just doing what he think is right. And a lot of times when you're young and you didn't have guidance and you didn't have influences in a positive way, and you do what you think is right, a lot of times it's going to be wrong. But I told y'all before this clip that TK has another criminal case coming up.
A 24-year-old convicted murderer set to head to trial in a capital murder case next year. Former Texas rapper Tamor McIntyre is accused of fatally shooting and robbing a 23-year-old man. Eric Hernandez takes us inside the courtroom as it was decided when jury selection and the trial would begin.
They're all the same.
Tamor McIntyre, known for his stage name TAY, sat quietly in the courtroom as his case was awaiting to be called up. McIntyre, already convicted of murder in Tarrant County and sentenced to 55 years in prison, has been awaiting trial in the April 2017 capital murder of Mark Anthony Saldivar. According to an arrest affidavit, Saldivar was robbed of his camera equipment and fatally shot in the Chick-fil-A parking lot across from North Star Mall. At the time, McIntyre was on the run after cutting his GPS monitor while out on bond awaiting trial. McIntyre was later caught in New Jersey. But while on the run, he released a song called The Race. The music video on YouTube has more than 360 million views, and the song ended up the Billboard Hot 100. In it, he posed in front of his wanted poster. Because of that video, his attorneys had a concern about the size of the jury pool.
The nature of the case involves a music video, and that music video is very famous and well known, so we may need a little bit more than the average pool because people are familiar and informed in opinions.
A jury pool of 200 people are now expected to be called in on February 7th and testimony to begin on February 10th. Since being in the Bexar County Jail, McIntyre has picked up 3 new charges of prohibited substance in a correctional facility.
Now, this trial will be taking place here in the 187th District Court. Again, that is on February 10th of next year. McIntyre, if he's found guilty, would automatically be sentenced to life in prison without parole. At the Kidina Reeves Justice Center, Erica on this case at 12 News.
What y'all think should happen with TK? We know he's currently sitting with a 50-year sentence. But if he's found guilty on this other murder, it's 2 ways they can go about this. They can give him life, and they can run it concurrent with the 50 years, so then he'll just have a life sentence without the possibility of parole. Or they can give him life and run it consecutive, which means he'll have life plus 50, and he'll have a long battle to fight before he ever see daylight again. But this is just one of them situations, y'all. I told y'all how I feel about it. But this is just one of them situations where, yo, we got to do a better job as a community of when we send these at-risk kids and these kids that's coming up without a chance, because that's what TK's story reminds me of. TK was born without a chance, even though his sister seemed like she doing well in life. You know, I don't know, you know, how they doing financially, but at least she's not in prison. His brother is a rapper. I don't think he's in prison, but it's different strokes for different folks. And just because their life went one way, there's no guarantee that TAY life would have followed. You understand? Because every kid, every person deals with trauma differently. Now, I want to know what the court is going to do. Do you give him another chance, or has TAY had enough chances? Have TAY had enough chances? TAY, who was on home monitor because of a murder, the judge gave him opportunity, cut the box off, put out a song, went on a run, end up killing the cameraman. Tragic. Innocent victim. Tragic. But it seems like the system sometimes, they do take into effect how you was raised, your upbringing, your financial status, Sometimes, these judges do consider these things, but it seems like whenever it's one of us, and now we made a mistake or two, and now back against the wall, and we got a laundry list of problems that we dealt with in the past, but it never gets brought up in court, or it gets brought up, but it never gets factored into the sentencing whenever that day comes. Now, TAY life is probably over. Keep it all the way real. This is Texas. This is one of them states where they ain't really gonna give you no second chance if you look like me. But even with everything he done, some people might disagree, but I still don't like the fact that this is a 15-year-old that never got a chance. Never got a chance. And I think the system recognizes that. If you give him an evaluation of his life and even talk to him, you can understand that. Listen to his mother, listen to his sister. But with all that being on the table, they still was going to probably get his boy life in prison. And some people might say he deserved it. But I just wish, these cases need to be handled on a case-by-case basis. We got these guidelines. And if you fit under these guidelines, this is the mandatory we have to give you. But I think, if we want this system to work properly, we got to start taking into account what people been through, What was the history that led to the future, if you understand what I'm saying? What traumatic experience that any person went through in any time and any period of their life that led them to this decision that they made that ultimately ruined their life? And should this thing weigh on our decision to take a life? But let me know how y'all feel about this in the comments. This is another day of Keep It G News.
Nigga can't do what I do, y'all niggas can't copy me. Let's keep shit G. Let's keep shit G. Let's keep the shit G. Let's keep shit G. Let's keep shit G.